So, HBO Max just dropped 3 whole minutes of footage from the first episode of Infinity Train Book 4, showing us the moment that led up to Ryan and Mingi boarding the train. While it was short, it was certainly sweet, and gave us some much needed insight into the mysterious characters of Ryan and Mingi. This theory serves as a sort of follow-up to my last one on Book 4, where I discussed my theory on why Ryan and Mingi might have been abducted by the train. To sum it up, I suggested that these two boys clinging onto each other might be holding each other back from living their best lives, and that the end goal for Book 4 would be for them to realise this and go their separate ways. In the case of Ryan, I was partly correct. He is struggling to let Mingi go, and it is negatively impacting their lives. However, it's now apparent to me that their problem may not be as simple as holding each other back. Ryan has engaged in more overt and obvious problematic behaviour. Meanwhile, Mingi's flaws are more unclear. He's responsible, he seems happily content with his life, and he appears to be totally independent from Ryan. If they're both on the train though, with a pretty high number might I add, that can only mean there must be more to Mingi than meets the eye. This hot Korean man is clearly hiding something, and I think I may know what that something is. Let's talk. So in terms of personality, it seems like Mingi directly contrasts Ryan. While Ryan so far comes across as extroverted, emotional, and impulsive, Mingi is introverted, reserved, and logical. Not to mention, they play instruments that are opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of style, and even their hairstyles are polar opposites. With all that being the case, to me, it would make a lot of sense if their underlying issue was paralleled in the same manner. In other words, what if their issues are in some sense the opposite of each other? So what exactly would be the opposite of Ryan's issue? Well, if Ryan's issue is clinging onto Mingi and disregarding his feelings, what if Mingi's issue is pushing Ryan away and disregarding his feelings? In fact, Mingi does indeed display this issue in the clip.
Just, give me a sec. Gotta close out.
We'll get back to that later, but first let's talk about the argument in the diner. Mingi yells at Ryan, exclaiming that being in a band was Ryan's dream and not his. Although Mingi has every right to be angry at Ryan for forcing his will onto him, in my opinion, Ryan thinking that this is what Mingi wants is understandable. From what we see in the trailer flashbacks, Mingi really did seem on board with becoming famous musicians together with Ryan. Right now, it makes sense for Ryan to believe that this is what they both wanted, and I think it's clear that he isn't trying to be selfish here. If Ryan believes it was his dream as well, then it's at least in part Mingi's fault for leading him on by playing along. Earlier in the video, I said that Mingi is hiding something, and what I think that thing is are his true feelings. If Mingi truly never wanted to be in a band with Ryan in the first place, then I believe he was only doing it for Ryan, and that there's a big chance he never told him this. Mingi, as I said earlier, seems to be less emotional and is instead more reserved. Because of this, I think there's a good chance that he struggles to talk about his feelings, and that's the reason why Ryan never questioned his motives. I don't think that's necessarily why he's on the train though. This ties into the point I made earlier where I said that Mingi's issue would be pushing Ryan away. I believe that he's actively been pushing Ryan away, so that he wouldn't ever have to open up. In doing this, however, he hasn't considered how this might be affecting Ryan. Although I'm absolutely sure he cares about how Ryan feels, hence why he even went along with the band in the first place, he most likely is simply unable to empathize with Ryan due to not being good with emotions. Pushing Ryan away is hurting him and causing him to act out, and that acting out is making Mingi more uncomfortable and causing him to push Ryan away even more. This is a vicious cycle, and most likely why their numbers are directly linked to one another. Although the want of each character is different, their need is the same. They need to stop believing that they're only victims of the other's actions, and realize that their own selfish actions are both equally harmful to one another. As of right now, this is what I believe they're on the train to learn. Also, Min-gi could totally be uncomfortable talking about his emotions because he's totally gay for Ryan, and maybe Ryan is acting out because he thinks his feelings for Min-gi are unrequited, but that's a topic for another video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please support the channel by liking it if you did, and subscribing for more similar content by me. I'll definitely be covering Infinity Train whenever I have more material to talk about. Comment with your thoughts and theories down below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.